Hi guys, Yvette Carol speaking, and this is a Kiwi story. Mrs. Parata Rides Again. Mrs. Parata had a bike with wonky pedals. One squeaked and the other clonked. Every day she rode it to the grocery shop. Squeak clonk, squeak clonk. She carried her groceries in a cardboard box on the back of the bike. The box wasn't very big, but that didn't matter. She kept the load small and light by buying just what she needed for the day. She liked her ride to the grocer's, dressed up in her bright-coloured tracksuit and a straw hat, and as she had to wear a crash helmet, she put that on top. Everyone heard her coming, squeak clonk, down the street. Most stopped what they were doing to call out, "Hello, kia ora, lovely day, nice rain last night," and other friendly greetings. Mrs. Parata liked that. There were quite a few bumps on the road, so every now and then her bike went squeak clonk, hoobly-doo, as she bounced over them. The groceries bounced wildly in the back, in the box, and sometimes fell through a hole and onto the road. But her friends were kind. They always helped her gather her things and put them back in the box. She thanked them, chatted a bit, then continued home. Squeak clonk, hooply-doo, crash, thank you, squeak clonk. One day, her son said, "What you need is a bike trailer." So he made one and attached it to the back of the bike. "See, now you can carry lots of things, so you won't need to go to the shop as often," he said. And he was right. Mrs. Parata was able to fill her cart with a whole week's supply of groceries. But it was heavy. Biking home was really hard work. People called greetings, but she was puffing too hard to reply. The groceries stayed in the cart, so she didn't get to stop and talk with anyone. With a big supply of groceries, she didn't need to go back to the shop for a week. That was just as well. After peddling with such a heavy load, she needed a few days to recover her strength. "Well," said her son, "this is just too hard for you. I'll have to get you a car." So, the next time Mrs. Parata went to the shop, she drove her new car. She wasn't used to driving and didn't once take her eyes off the road, so she didn't see her friends waving. Soon they gave up. Then Mrs. Parata found she needed petrol for her car, and repairs, and other costly things. She didn't have enough money for these and groceries, so she bought less food. She bought about as much as she used to get each day in her cardboard box, but it had to last a week. Mrs. Parata got very hungry. And she found she was getting puffed when she did her housework. Riding her old bike used to be good exercise, but now she wasn't staying fit. "What you need is an exercycle," said her son. He bought her one, and she used it every day, pedalling madly away, but going nowhere. Nobody saw her. Nobody called out hello. She started to get lonely. One day, when she went into the garage to get her car for her grocery trip, she stopped to look at her old bike sitting there. She thought of all the people who used to call greetings to her. She thought of the fresh air and exercise she used to get. She thought of the chats she used to have with friendly people when they helped her pick up her groceries that had bounced through the hole in the box. And she thought, all I really need is a new cardboard box. there was one in the back of the garage. So she tied it onto her bike, and off she went to the grocer's shop on her bike. Squeak clonk, squeak clonk. Ah, it felt good. Hello, people called out. Haven't seen you for a while. Like a cuppa on the way back? Mrs. Parata smiled happily. She pedalled and squeaked and clonked and hoopledy-dooed over every bump she could find, just for fun. This is more like it, she thought. Good old bike. Sorry. Well, said her son, if you're going to ride that old thing again, I'd better fix the pedals. No thanks, replied Mrs. Parata. I like it just the way it is. And every day she rode it to the grocery shop. Squeak clonk, squeak clonk. Mrs. Parata rides again, especially for the McKay family.